I say I'm a beekeeper, and one of the first things you notice is I'm not dressed like you think a beekeeper should probably dress. Someone going into a hive, this hive has about 50,000 honeybees in it, and they can all sting. But you notice I'm not wearing the typical white coveralls, and I'm not wearing the mask over my face. That mask we call a veil. And that protects us from getting stung. It protects us from angry bees. An angry bee sees the shadows that my eyes create in my nose and mouth. She can smell the CO2 from my breathing, and she knows that the face is a very painful place for me to get stung. So an angry bee will aim for my face. The veil protects us from those bees, and the suit it's an extra layer of fabric. The bee suits you see beekeepers wearing, they're not sting-proof by any stretch of the imagination, but a bee's stinger is very short, and so usually she wouldn't be able to sting through that. But one of the big secrets that beekeepers keep is that honeybees are, for the most part, very, very gentle. A honeybee has a barbed stinger, which means when she stings, her stinger gets ripped out of her body, stays in whatever animal she stung, and she dies. So she doesn't want to sting, except as a very last resort. They'll do all sorts of things to warn me off. They'll fly into me, they'll buzz around my face, telling me that they know I'm there, and that I probably shouldn't be. And if they start doing that, then I know that they've realized I'm here. What you do see me using is a smoker and a hive tool. The bees glue everything in the hive together with a mixture of tree sap and an enzyme they produce in their head. Tree sap and bee spit. We call that propolis, and it's very sticky. The bees seal all the cracks in the hive with the propolis, and it also acts as part of their immune system. Propolis is antibacterial and antiviral and antifungal. It's all over the hive, and so I need something to help me move these pieces that are inside the hive we call frames. I need something to help me move them around because they're stuck into place. That's the hive tool. The other tool you see me using is my smoker, and that's the beekeeper's most important tool. In the smoker, I'm burning something organic. I'm burning burlap in this case, but sometimes I burn hay, sometimes I burn horse manure, sometimes I burn old blue jeans. It doesn't really matter what I'm burning. The main condition is that it doesn't burn very hot. The smoke I have, if I get the smoker really going, it's fairly thick, but it's very cool. The smoker isn't to hurt the bees. The smoke covers the bees' antenna so they can't communicate with each other. And in the wild, bees live in hollow trees, hollow logs, maybe in a hole in a cliff. And when the bees smell the smoke, that means there's a forest fire. And if there's a forest fire and it burns up the tree they're living in, it's likely that they're going to have to find a new place to live sometime soon. Honeybees are one of the only animals I know that build their whole home from their own body. Honeybees have 8 glands on their abdomen that produce the wax, and to produce the wax they have to eat a lot of honey. A honeybee has to eat 7 to 10 pounds of honey to make 1 pound of wax. So a honeybee smells the smoke. She thinks there's a forest fire. She's pretty sure she's going to have to move, find a new place to live. And so she immediately goes and finds some honey to fill her stomach with so that she can start producing wax as soon as she finds a new home. Now, because all these bees in the hive are busying themselves finding honey to eat, they're ignoring me entirely. It's almost like they don't even know I'm here. And that's how I can get away with inspecting a beehive without wearing a bee suit. Here's a queen bee. You can see she's much longer than the workers. The queen bee is the only reproductive female in the hive. Just about all the other bees you see are worker bees, the smaller ones. The worker bees are all female, but none of them can lay eggs. The queen's the only one that can lay eggs. Only one queen in the hive. You see her abdomen is much longer. Because she's the only one that can lay eggs, that means all the other workers that you see in the hive are her daughters, and they're all sisters. Can you imagine having 50,000 sisters? I only have one. That's about all I want. See the queen? The queen's running around. She's looking for a place to lay eggs. In the comb we have here, the queen lays her eggs and they raise the babies. They start out as an egg. When the egg hatches, we call that baby bee a larva. And when the larva gets a little bit older, the larva goes through metamorphosis, just like a butterfly. A caterpillar is a butterfly larva. The worker goes through a metamorphosis, turns into an adult bee, and the adults are what you see on the frame.